Lagos State House of Assembly has urged Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to direct the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs to create a framework granting financial independence to local government legislatures. Lawmakers stressed that autonomy would strengthen grassroots democracy and curb undue executive influence. The resolution followed a motion by Ganu Sani Kosofe 1 during Tuesday's plenary, presided over by Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, who highlighted concerns about former council chairmen allegedly retaining control of council accounts through managers and treasurers even after leaving office. Lawmakers including Solomon Bonu, Desmond Elliott, and Nureni Akinshaya backed the motion, emphasizing that autonomy would enhance accountability and responsible governance. The Assembly directed its Committee on Local Government Administration, Chieftaincy Affairs, and Rural Development to begin work on enacting a self-accounting law for council legislatures. What do you make of this story, Dr. Basi?
It's one of the things Nigerians have been, yearning and, agitating for, that there should be that financial autonomy to all the local government areas in Nigeria. And so if the Lagos State House of Assembly has taken these steps to ensure that it's being legislated upon, to ensure that the local government in Lagos State really, given that autonomy. But the area I want to look at is that whatever they should do shouldn't have any contradiction with the already laws made by the National Assembly, because that is where the disparity will come from. But if the laws that will be made by the Lagos State Assembly, in tandem with that of the National Assembly, it's a step in the right direction. But at the same time, mechanism, that is monitoring mechanism, should be put in place to ensure that this law is effectively implemented when passing to law, than just leaving it that, because we have a whole lot of issues as regard to this implementation, where a lot of persons disregard and then not even taken into consideration. So that is where we have the real problem. But if every decanton that is responsible for this implementation take drastic actions, it will be a good thing. It will be a good thing, because if the government at the grassroots is properly fixed, most of the problem we have in Nigeria will to a large extent get resolved than people looking at the state government and the federal government of doing everything, while we have government at the grassroots that should have been responsible for some of the things that will be taken care at the grassroots. So for me, it's a step in the right direction. But let it not be that it is politically motivated, because there's no way we talked about these things that at some point it do not have political undertone. But I am not saying having that is not bad, but it shouldn't be something that take greater part of it and the rest will be something that is okay. I think we have legalized this. Then why can't you go and implement it when they know that the bottlenecks will not allow that to be implemented? But if everything that has to do with it, I'm talking about the law and the implementers, going straight to ensure that nothing would hold it for, of being implemented, it would be a good step in the right direction.
Now, when you talk about the political undertone, I was looking at you because I wanted to understand the direction you were coming from, when you talked about political undertone with regards to the autonomy of local government legislatures. We are talking about the councillors here, right? Now, and when they were giving their reason, when Obasa was speaking, he said that this will help curb executive influence, if I may even use the word rascality. Recall that even in River State, for example, councillors are more like, if I may say, titles. Some of these councillors do not even understand the power they wield. Some of them do not understand the responsibility attached to their office. They don't even know the weight of their office. And one would say, on the other hand, just like citizens or residents of states decry the overbearing influence of governors over the state houses of assembly, the local government chairman even exercise even much more tyrannical power over the councillors, as it were. It is the councillors that make laws that guide the day-to-day activities of local governments, activities around markets and all of that. The councillor, the chairman, is supposed to present his budget to the councillors. They're supposed to regulate all these things. But has it been effectively done? Can one councillor come out and say, this is the amount that comes into the local government, this is what the budget of the chairman is, this is how we are even monitoring the implementation of this budget? So far, in your experience, both in political analysis and real-time governance, let's use River State, for example, can you say that councillors have lived up to their responsibility?
That statement talked about some local government, even when they have left office, still wielded a lot of influence
over the local government accounts.
In the local palace, it is said that when you see a bird dancing on the road, without having any iota of fear, it means that the drummer is in the bush, trying to beat. And this might be the case, that when you see one who has left office and still exercising some influence on those who occupy that same office they occupied in time past, it means that something, I talked about bottleneck, and this bottleneck could be the reason why you see things like that, repeatedly happening. In a normal circumstances, that's supposed not to be the case at all. Because once you left office, my friend, you have no business there. Now, coming to the real issue of the councillors, having that full responsibility has handed over to them by law. It's true. Now, we have a case where you see the councillors, they're like stooge. Whenever the chairman said moved, they will move. The chairman would say stand still. They will remain so.
In the morning, they go to the chairman's house.
You understand?
To greet him
fine.
And collect stipends.
That is not the most of them don't even know the responsibility of being a lawmaker at the local level. They don't even know, because maybe at one point in time there was somebody just give him a call and said, look, get ready, you'll be the local. You understand that kind of thing. So in a situation like that, what do you expect such a person to do? He will do nothing. But if this person, before even think of going to such office, has put himself into proper perspective, that's keeping himself ready for such a huge task that lies ahead of him, that would be a different thing altogether. But in a situation where someone would just be called to come and take over a particular office that the person was not ready, so what do you expect? Things like that. But just like what you said, if the councillors at the local setting would take the bull by the horn, take this constitutional responsibility, because they are like every other lawmakers at the national level, at the state level, because they, just like you talked about presentation of budget at the local level, they are the people that will scrutinize the budget, pass it into law, and for the chairman to start to implement that budget. So they have to take a look at it. But sometimes they revise as a case. So for me, not just passing this, recently the Supreme Court has already given a ruling on that. But they believe that it must have that bite that people expected. That means this has to be infused into the Nigerian Constitution to give that backing, constitutional backing. But as it stands now, though we know that any case, especially the one that is taken to the apex court, either by the government or through the Attorney General of the government, when such ruling is made, automatically becomes what? Law, because they are not just a court of law, but court of policies as well. So, but the problem we are having here has been the influence of one particular person. Disregarding the law, the efficacy of the law.
Which person?
Thank you. Now, you see, one person will say, look, I am the one that puts you there. You must listen to me. You must do whatever I want you to. That's where the problem lies. Okay. But if all these bottlenecks, as close to it, is detached from it, every legislature, from the local government to the state level and even to the national level, will know that they have a duty, and that duty to legislate on anything that will make sure that governance, not just governance, good governance is given to the people, and democracy will have it at its best. If not, then we will keep having the same thing. Even when they talked about autonomy, the question we should be having here, do we have any local government in this country today that is completely autonomous? The answer is no.
So local governments are not fully autonomous from
Of
the
course,
state?
From the state, it's not. Due to all this interference of one strong person, that assume that, look, I was instrumental for you being there, so you must listen to me. So if these bottlenecks of political, interference is completely detached from the responsibility of a councillor or a local government chairman, then we will have it as at its best. If not, we'll keep, running around the circumference without having a proper solution to it.
Right, but to a large extent, you think this law is a step in the right direction?
Yes, I said so when I started.
And then probably we should be looking at lawmakers making laws that are very, very thorough.
That is it.
You understand?
That's my point.
Because when laws are made and there are lacunas, then smart people
can also capitalize on that.
On that lacuna to, negate some of the things that the law has said. Just like when you talk about River State's crisis and people make a case for it, and I ask question, was there a lacuna that was exploited? When you look at it carefully, there was a lacuna.
Okay,
when you now look at that exploitation, it becomes very difficult to hold and quote the Constitution, as it were. So probably we should be looking at, in making the laws that will give the councillors of local governments autonomy from the executive at the local government level. Probably the state government will have to make a law that is thorough in itself, considering that they are wearing the same shoes and they know where it has been pinching them at the state level. So they have better experience to make laws that will, let's say, surgically disassociate the executive or executive interference from the business of the legislators at the local government level.
The problem is not just the law here. The problem is implementation. You talked about lacuna. The lacuna would be the agreement with the Constitution, because whatever laws the state assembly, enact that has that disparity with the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, somebody can also capitalize on that and
to challenge.
Fine.
To challenge the legality of the law.
Good. That is one aspect of this lacuna. Then, on the other hand, see, in a situation like this, public, hearing, has to be carried out to have the input of the masses. That can also give them a better information on how to go about in this law. And that is the essence of this public hearing. But where you just go to one corner and organize the prayers, bring one or two persons, and you just finish at that level, this lacuna you are talking about will come in. And somebody will capitalize on that and rubbish the entire law. So, for me, the public hearing is important, considering the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and other things that can also make the law ineffective must be put into consideration. If all these avenues, are, employed while making these laws, then we will have it right. But remember, in Nigeria, politicians are somehow smarter than even the law itself. And you might ask how? Because a situation where you know that this is the position of the law on this matter, and you decided to toe the other side, and you can even challenge the matter to court and say, look, it is this and that, when you know the position of the law. So the politician, please, in this matter, act less so that we'll have it right. If not, we'll still go back to the same way.
All right.